he dies on the cross, and I want to talk first about like the different accounts that we have that we can prove that it's true and that it's not just some fairy tale that you just hear about. And well, first we know that the Bible is the most historically accurate book, and in the Bible, in Matthew 28, we see Mary and Mary Magdalene, and they're going to the tomb to anoint the body, and then there's this huge earthquake, and an angel comes down, and the angel's speaking with them, and they're like freaking out. I mean, wouldn't you freak out if an angel's looking at you and talking to you, telling you that the person who's your Messiah is gone out of the tomb? That what? I mean, come on. No one has done that before, you know? And I would freak out. But yeah. Anyway, so the angel tells them that Jesus is on his way to Galilee, and so they're supposed to go and talk to the disciples and tell the disciples the good news. But while they're walking there, they actually are stopped by Jesus, and Jesus is like, "Go, hurry, go tell the disciples. Come on, I mean, this is a great day." And I'm sorry. Okay. So then also while this is happening, there's the guards, and because there was guards sitting in front of the tomb to guard it, so the disciples wouldn't come and take the body and pretend like Jesus had risen. But the guards are freaking out, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we were here, there's a huge stone, and it's gone. What?" So they go to the chief high priest person, and they tell them what happened, and so the chief priest is like, "Okay, what are we gonna do to tell people that this is wrong?" Because they're against, you know, Jesus dying on the cross and rising again, because it goes against everything that they believe in and stuff. So, so they actually paid off the guards to tell people that the disciples came and took the body. So it was kind of like a lie to get them to get people to be like sworn off, like, or not to believe exactly what happened. So yeah, that's in Matthew. And then you go to Mark 16, and it's about the same situation. You know, the women are going to anoint the body, and they're stopped by the angel, but it goes into greater detail, talking about Mary Magdalene and how she tried to tell so many people about Jesus not being there, and how they didn't really listen to her, and they just kind of ignored her, and just were like, "Okay, you're a woman, how do I know that this is right? I mean, how do I trust you?" Because back then, you know, women were not as respected as they are today. And so then they go to the disciples, and the disciples still aren't believing them. They're, you know, because it was hard for the disciples to believe them, because they were women, and that wasn't the customs back in the day. So then yeah, okay. And then we'll skip to Luke 24, and it's, I'm trying to remember where it was. Okay, so then we get to a story about just two disciples who are walking to a town. I'm going to try and pronounce this right. Emmaus? I don't know. Sure, let's go with that. Okay, and Jesus appears to them, but his identity is kind of concealed, so they can't figure out who he is. But the disciples are walking and talking about everything that's been happening. I mean, it's been a crazy couple of days, and so they're talking about it. And you know, Jesus is like, "Well, don't you remember in the prophets predicted this, and that, you know, Jesus was going to rise again, and that, you know, that Jesus was supposed to suffer so that we could have a relationship with God." And the disciples are kind of like, yeah, you're right. I think you're right. And they're just kind of like chill about it. And so then they talk to Jesus, and they still don't know who he is. And they're like, all right, how about you stay the night? And they go and eat dinner together, and then as soon as they break the bread, his identity is revealed to them, and they realize it is Jesus, but then he disappears from their sights, and they're like freaking out, so they go and they run all the way to where the disciples were, and the disciples are like, okay, you're crazy. We've heard so many different stories about Jesus. I haven't seen him. And they're just sitting in this room debating, trying to decide what the truth is. So then Jesus comes out, like he's in the background, and he just kind of talks to them, and he says, "Peace be with you." And the disciples are like, "Whoa! Oh my gosh, Jesus is here!" And because they finally see him with their own eyes, and they just, it took a lot for them to believe that Jesus was he had actually done what he said he was going to do, which I think is kind of a problem that we struggle with now today, because we don't see Jesus, but we know in certain situations we do have his power and his presence with us in everyday life. So
I want it.
Yeah. And then so then he has to redirect the disciples and tell them again, "Hello, I told you already, I came here to die on the cross, and I'm here and I rose again so that you can have a relationship with my Father." And then we get to John 20, and it's the same thing all the way up until a part where it talks about Jesus appearing to Thomas, who was not there when Jesus appeared to the rest of the disciples. And Thomas was doubtful, and he told everyone else that the only way he would believe that Jesus was really alive was if he showed up and let him touch his, sorry, it grosses me out, nail marks. And so Jesus actually does come and reveal himself to him, and he touches his nail marks. Oh, sorry. And okay, and then he also appears to the disciples, and he does random miracles, like they're out on a boat, and they catch like a ton of fish, and but each chapter ends with like the author's account of what had really impacted them with Jesus's miracles in his last days, and I thought that was kind of cool how each of them had their own input and different take of how things kind of went together. So now that was all what the Bible has to say. But what does that mean? What does that mean for you, and what does that mean for your life? And well, I think it really means to me that if Jesus didn't die on the cross, one, I would not have a relationship with God like I do, and I wouldn't be able to have the power and the love of Christ that is in my life, and without that, I don't think I could get through any day of my life, because God helps me. Sorry. God helps me to deal with the problems that happen in my life when things don't go well, when I fail a test, or I go into school and get made fun of for whatever random reason. I know that God is there, and that it doesn't matter who my friends are. I always have a friend in God. And it also, his resurrection shows that he is the Son of God. He was who he said he was, and there was no one present, like, in the tomb to be like, pray over Jesus and be like, be healed, wake up, kind of thing. He was there all by himself, and God was the one who raised him from the dead, which shows the power that is with God, that is available to all of you, and with having the Holy Spirit and getting into the supernatural, which might scare you a little bit, but things like that can really be possible today.